Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we're starting things off with a continuation from the last episode. Essentially all we did the last episode was we were starting off a little bit of our mob switch. I actually got into quite a bit of detail about the mob switch, how they work, and the type we were going to end up going for. So if you haven't already checked out the episode, make sure you do. It'll give you some more context to things. Today we're actually going to be doing the first step of the mob switch, which is going to be basically gathering all of the villagers up and getting them over to the bathtub. If you don't understand the bathtub reference, then you obviously didn't watch the last episode, so go check it out. In the meantime, we're going to go get these villagers cured. We're going to head over to the frozen tundra where we have the villager breeder kind of set up. We're going to be using that again to get everyone over to the bathtub. Alright, so starting on the mob switch, obviously we needed a few villagers. Now I kind of rambled between whether I should use the little setup that I have in my main base or whether I should use this one here. Now this one's a tiny bit further away from where I'm setting up the mob switch. However, because there's so many breeders here and it was so much easier for me to breed using this one, I've kind of realized the one that I made in my base probably isn't all that useful anymore. So I'm going to plan on basically just using this one for now on. I'm going to make some adjustment to it, and actually that's one of the reasons why I thought I'd bring you guys back in again. You see, I think the best thing for me to do here is to potentially basically just set things up so going forward I'm not going to be kind of rattling my brain around a little bit. Now I could build up a whole villager breeder re-zombifier situation, but the way that I've set things up at the moment is actually not going to require for me to zombify these guys at all. All I'm going to need to do is trade with them once, send them through the nether portal, which I've broken and moved, which we'll get into in a second. And once I do that, they will basically be zombified by the existing zombie villager. Well, there's 3 of them there now. So they're going to be kind of zombified by the existing zombie villagers on that side. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to quickly breed up as many as I can. I'm going to need more food, by the way. And I'm going to make a little setup here where I just quickly trade with them, send them through the portal. I will then ice boat them onto the other side where the actual mob switch is. And that should be pretty much all I need to do. This should be relatively straightforward. However, I have to admit, I made a lot of mistakes last night initially setting up some of the whole mob switch situation, which ended up costing me at least 2 hours. And let me tell you, there's something I've started to realize recently, and that is a harsh lesson to learn. When you're doing things like this, the best thing to do is to take your time initially and think about what you're doing. Don't rush into things just because you want to quickly get them done. A sad lesson to learn with so many hours wasted, but you know what? I guess that's a part of a growing process. But yeah, so life lessons aside, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a bunch of rails. I'm going to make it easy so they literally stop in one place. I quickly trade with them, send them straight into the nether portal. They'll go to the other side. Obviously, I'm going to set up a boat for each one of them when I go to the other side, so it should be pretty easy. So let's see how this goes. So first thing I'm going to do, let me set up a nice little section for these guys here. Alright, so we've got ourselves a nice little setup here that I'm thinking in theory should all work really well. Unfortunately, things don't work in theory, so I'm gonna run through the idea with you here. So essentially all that's happening is I'm going to power a dispenser to shoot a villager out into the rail. This should come down here into this powered rail, at which point it shouldn't go any more forward. I'm not 100% sure if that's totally going to work. Maybe I need to change this up just a little bit. But in fact, let me leave that here for now. I'll figure out in a second. And hopefully what should happen is the villager should land here. I can then up the workstation and maybe should pick it up straight away. I'll do a trade, drop it back down, and then that should shoot the villager back off again. Or then I can shoot the villager back off again. Actually, that reminds me. Put a little button here to send them off. And that should shoot them back. It should hit the detector rail, pop straight into the nether portal, which again, actually, whilst I'm doing this, let's do that. And do that. That should hopefully get the villager to go into that side. And then once the villager goes through there, I'm going to have a boat ready for it on the other side to try and collect. And let's go ahead and do that now. So obviously this is all just in theory. I'm going to hope it works. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and put the boat just there. I'm going to go ahead and go back again. So the only way to find out if this is actually going to work, obviously, is to try it out ourselves. And, oh, yep, okay, so back in again takes me to a different portal, unfortunately, but that's no big deal. Another thing is these iron golems are really starting to get me angry. They're really starting to annoy me, if I'm honest. Dude, get off. Get out of here. Stop climbing stuff. You freak. Look at this. Look at this. There's no disco music going on. In fact, maybe I can add some. All right, cool. So we've got some minecarts in there. Let's go ahead and press for one. And oh crap! What is going on? I didn't hurt you. Didn't do anything to you, you little weirdo. Oh, this is why I hate freaking iron golems sometimes, man. They really do get on my nerves. Anyway, so back to the matter at hand. So it looks like he's already picked up the villager trade, which isn't the best. Oh, he refreshed. There we go. It seems like he is changing between them, so I can just go up and down. Oh, he's increased his prices to more than I'm willing to pay for bread. All right. For the sacrifice, we're going to do it just for one, just to make sure it all works. So that's done. And now we're going to go ahead and pop him through. Yes. Okay, now hopefully, yep, the minecart has gone into the chest. That's good. I can now go through, and if everything's worked out, okay, he didn't go where I wanted him to, but there you go. He has now. And now all I need to do is take this guy over to the thing. Oh god, this is another problem now, isn't it? Zombified piglins. Come on, dude, get out of the way. Zombified piglins are the worst. Come on, dude. Let's go. You ain't got any of your back up here anyway. You can't do nothing. Alright, cool. Hopefully none of his friends saw that, so I won't have to worry about the backlash from them. Luckily, because we've got ice roads here, though, this should be pretty easy just to send them back and forth. Oh god, there's another one here. Here we go. That's another one. Another one dealt with. I might put down some... maybe some carpet or something. I'm going to put some stuff down eventually, I think, just to make things a little bit easier. So here's the thing now. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to let this guy go to about here. I'm then going to hopefully... The issue is that he might pop out somewhere else, but let's see how it goes. There we go. He's gone through to the other side. I need to make sure I pick up the item, because if he takes the item with him or it floats downwards, I am in big trouble. Yep, I picked up the boat. Now all I need to do is push him into the water. You can see there's a few of the villagers there. And now I need to get out of the eyesight. Now I'm going to go into spectator mode, or like fake spectator mode. And you can see they are now going to beat him up. They'll make good work of him. The issue is now, if I go back again, I'm just going to go to this side and get out of line sight. When they can see me, they won't attack him, unfortunately, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, this is the really easy thing to do now. Look, he should be zombified any second. He's got nowhere to go. And any second... Oh, he's doing some traveling, let me tell you. And any second... You can see one of them's got a boat. He will not count towards the villager mob cap, or sorry, the mob cap anymore. So actually, instead of having what looks like 4 of them, I only actually do have 3, which is the reason why I need to make sure I pick up any items and nothing falls into the water. It's just going to make my process a lot longer doing it that way. So hopefully, if I just make sure I've only got 1 boat on me all the time, that should be the way around it. So now that I know that this system works, this should be straightforward. The other thing I'm going to have to do also is go and get myself a little bit more food. I don't think I have very much. Now, I've got an empty shulker box that I'm going to fill with bread. Unfortunately, earlier on, there was some pathfinding issues with villagers, so it didn't work out how I wanted it to. So I'm going to go and do a bit more trading with my normal villagers. They should have a bit more bread for me. I'm going to get some more breeding done with these guys. And actually, I should actually have this whole setup done relatively quickly, if I can. Let's see how it goes. After that point, I ended up spending the next 6 hours or so basically doing the same thing over and over again. It was trading with the villager, getting him in a boat, getting him over to the bathtub, getting him converted, and then repeating this process about 70 times. Now, if you did want to watch the videos of it, I have a second channel where I'm uploading all my VODs for all my live streams, but essentially I did all of this on a live stream just to make things a little bit more interesting, and it was just a repeating process over and over again. Once I got all 70 villagers in place, the only thing really left to do was to make sure the place looked somewhat presentable and a bit more nicer, considering it is a mob switch. You do want it to look good. So what we'll do, we'll finish up here. Let's go check out how the mob switch ended up setting up. Okay, so we're going to make our way in through the nether portal, and we're going to go ahead and check out the mob switch. Now, please be warned, it is a little bit loud in here. In fact, let me go ahead and turn the volume down. I'll turn hostile creatures down. Let's go ahead and put this down to 5. And here we are in the mob switch. Everything, as you can see, is done. The mobs are perfectly aligned, or more or less perfectly aligned within the chunk borders. Unfortunately, I can't show you the spawn chunk borders because of the fact that I'm currently using shaders and I have to restart the game, so you're gonna have to use your imagination on this one. The chunk border is basically just in between this bit here. So you can see that the mobs are basically all behind this set of squares, so all of the mobs on this side would be considered as part of the mob cap, and all of the ones on this side would be not. In terms of decoration, I tried to keep it relatively simple. I didn't really have, you know, too much of a fuss with wanting to make the place look good, as long as it looked generally okay, which I think it kind of covers that over here. And in terms of the switch itself, well, I could have probably done a better job of hiding that bit, but I kind of liked the grittiness of the whole thing. Like, it looks kind of cool at the top and then a little bit gritty at the bottom. So I decided to carry on just going with it. It looks good in my opinion, and you know, it's functioning pretty well. But obviously my favorite part here is the switch. So we got mob spawning on and then mob spawning off, and then we've obviously got a little representation of, you know, a little peaceful grass block there, and then we went with the representation of with the skeleton skull to be death, basically. So again, if I flip the switch, which I will show you guys because why not, you can see all of the zombified villagers are switched over to the other side of the spawn trunks, which again is represented by this half of the farm. So all of this part here is not in mobcap, and then this part is. So again, I'm going to go ahead and flip that back on because I'll be honest, having a mob switch kind of changed everything, because you kind of don't realize how annoying mobs are and how much they kind of get in your way until you don't have one anymore, or you don't have them to deal with anymore. So it's kind of nice to have the whole mob switch around, and I'm kind of glad this is going to be hopefully a feature that I have here to stay. In fact, I've actually got a plan for expansion. So here's our idea. I'm thinking, you know, a single mob switch is very cool, but more often than not, I do tend to use a bot in my world, you know, either for AFKing at a location, or, you know, to be fair, mainly AFKing at one location. And sometimes I might be in another part of the world and I need another mob cap. So I'm thinking that I might go ahead and build another one of these, potentially right next to it over here. If I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, there's actually a bigger reason as to why I want to build a 2 mob switch. Some of the keen-eyed of you might have figured out that this place is slightly off-center. So you can see there's 4 blocks on this side and only 3 of them on this side. And, well, this is kind of hurting my OCD, if I'm honest. And it really kind of annoys me that it looks this way. So my solution to having this is to put this mob switch around here, then leave a 2 gap space, and then put another mob switch here. And that should kind of cover my OCD, and then I can choose whether I want to cover a double mob cap or a single mob cap using that method. And yeah, honestly speaking, it has really nothing to do with the fact that I want another mob cap. This whole switch has just annoyed my OCD so much, I'm really just tempted to go ahead and build another one. But honestly, I'm probably going to think of that another time because I have other projects I need to take care of, and you know, some more cleaning up on my world to do. I've been promising to do other things around this world, which we're probably not going to get too much into this episode, but keep an eye out. We've got some stuff to take care of, so that's definitely going to be a thing in the future that we're going to have to look for. But yeah, as far as the mob cap or the mob switch is concerned, we are looking good. Everything is going to be working fine from now on. I've actually been using this for quite some time now. I haven't had any issues. No one's died. I've not had any weird parts of the world, you know, not obeying the mob switch for any reason. Everything's good, and we can now move on from the mob switch situation. I almost feel like this is a mirrored version of my last episode where I started off with the ice farm and then finished with the mob switch. I've now started off with the mob switch, and I want to, well, I don't know if we're going to be finishing off with the ice farm, but I kind of want to show you some stuff that's happened since the last episode that you know, a little addition I've added to the whole situation in the ice farm, and I think you're going to like it. It's a pretty cool project, and I actually kind of mentioned it in the last episode, so if you were paying attention, maybe you picked up on some of that. Instead of giving you any context whatsoever, because, you know, who needs context, right? I'm going to go ahead and just throw you in the middle of a time lapse, and you can kind of start figuring it out, and hopefully I'll meet you on the other side to actually give you some explanation. Alright guys, so if you didn't already figure out what the time lapse was about, and I'm assuming at this point most of you probably would have figured it out, you know, when you see a cactus farm situation being built up in layers and you're not really too sure, you can probably figure out that it's probably being used for XP, and the situation is no different on this side as well. So behind this giant ice wall, we have a cactus XP furnace array. I'll get into more details of that in a second, but let's talk a little bit more about this ice formation here. So last episode, you probably realized I built an ice farm, which is somewhere hidden behind this, and I didn't really have a design for what I wanted to kind of encase it in. And obviously with an ice farm, you can't really cover up the top of it. You don't really want to have too much decoration around it because, you know, it's not really something you want to waste too much time on. And I thought instead what I would do is I would surround the thing with ice and make it look like a really big ice formation. Now, when I say I didn't want it to take too much time on it, bit of a stupid comment because this took way longer than you would imagine. Although it looks like just a bunch of ice spammed in one location, it definitely wasn't. It was a more meticulous placing of ice in gradual layers. And to be honest, I think it looks really good. I really enjoyed doing this. I initially started spamming the ice around and then realized that wasn't going to work. It didn't really look like anything, so I did really have to go layer by layer, add in the packed ice first, and then use some of the normal ice just to break things up. I might actually add a few bits of blue ice around here and there as well, but I'm not too sure about that because blue ice, I think, allows snow layers to form on top of it, and I don't really want the snow layers to form on top. I kind of like it as it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I might be lying. I need to double check and see if that definitely is the case. But yeah, so as everything is looking right now, I have a nice little ice formation, and actually we've done a little bit of work from the little collection area over here. So again, last episode you might have heard me mention that the collection area was kind of not that great. And the reason for that was because I used barrels to collect ice in, and note to self and note to anybody else who needs it, barrels are not the way forward. Don't use barrels for stuff, especially when you have an ice farm that's going to be outputting a bunch of ice. Even if it's going in shulker boxes and being compacted down, no to barrels. So instead we've got double chests happening over here, so we've got a good amount of space for each slice of the ice farm. And actually, what's even more interesting is I did some AFKing and, well, that one's empty because, you know, ice. And yeah, so we've got a huge amount of ice now, which is going to be good to add to our little collection for the nether tunnel. And this is a good amount of ice right now. And you know, sadly, I probably still have quite a lot of AFKing to do at this ice farm, but, you know, another day for that one. But ultimately, we are looking good for packed ice, or ice in general. I'm going to go ahead and craft this down another time. But what I really wanted to look at was a solution for my broken pickaxes. So as I mentioned, I did the ice XP furnace array, the cactus XP furnace array, and I have done a lot of mending, some which you can see and some you can't. So let's go ahead and chuck all of these so you can see a good amount of it repaired in there. And let's go grab some demonstrationable stuff and let's go have a little look at this furnace array. So I've got this nice little hallway just to take us through, and you can see what all the ice was basically covering up at this point. So this is like the glacier ice XP furnace array, and to be honest, I think this place looks really cool, especially with some nice enhanced default shaders. I don't know how I feel about this little gazebo thing on top. I don't think it looks very good. I've actually got an even better plan, which is unfortunately going to require a lot more ice if I'm going to do it. But you know what they say, go hard or go home, and I'm potentially thinking about going hard. So I might go ahead and get rid of this and add in what I really want around here. So obviously underneath you can see the cactus furnace, or the cactus farm underneath. And yeah, not too bad. And if we go into spectator quickly, we can have a little look at how things are looking. So though not very wide, quite a few layers of this that goes down all the way down to almost as low as I could go. And yeah, so a good amount of cactus, but I'm going to be honest with you, this isn't enough cactus, which is quite infuriating if I'm completely honest with you, because this thing requires a lot more to work within a short space of time. So I left this AFK'd here, I left my computer on and left this running for about 12 or so hours, and it really only got to about here, and 12 hours is a long time for me to have left it AFKing. So it looks like, sadly enough, we're going to have to double up this little section and maybe put exactly the same thing on this side, but I'm not going to do any fancy view window for that. I'm just going to do a nice easy build on that side, probably on a live stream, which I've actually got some more information on. We'll get back to that in a minute, but let's have a little look at this Cactus XP furnace array. So if you're not already familiar with this design, this is a Il Mango design. I was going to go for, you know, a little homemade design, but honestly, one white tile board looks really good. I'm not gonna argue with this. So just a quick peek at this. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You guys can go ahead and check this out on Il Mango's video. I'll link that in the description. Essentially, all that's happening is you're filling up these droppers with green dye. Once these droppers with green dye, once they're completely full, this system will shut off and then stop allowing the system to smelt any more cactus. And then once that happens, the light will go on just underneath my foot over there. And then that means that this system is ready to use. And then obviously that will just continue onwards until all of these are full. Now you can see on this side, this one's off. This one was used recently, so it's actually not prepared to go. So what we'll do, let's go ahead and do a quick little test. So you can see in my hand, I've got a half repaired pickaxe and a relatively broken pickaxe. And I'm going to go ahead and take off all your armor. Always do that, remember, because otherwise it will suck up all your XP. And then all you need to do is pull out this. And one of them is completely full now, and one of them's almost full. So actually a pretty good return. You can actually, from what I've realized, you can usually do about a pick and a half out of all of these. So generally speaking, you should get through quite a few. But honestly, the bottleneck here really is the cactus farm, and I really do plan on doubling this up. But as I mentioned to you guys a little while ago, I was mentioning building this up on a live stream, and I actually have a little bit of information for you guys. So I am currently looking at having a few episodes worth of content left, but as the world grows and my projects get bigger, there's going to be less content for me really to start posting on in terms of videos. Now, I do want to post regularly, but I also don't want to be giving you content that I don't really like and just kind of like filler episodes just to have a video to release every week. Now, that actually leads me to my second segue, which is Twitch. A lot of what I find to be easier is to do all these grindy projects live on Twitch. So if you're not already following, obviously check the description down below, go ahead and give me a follow. But projects like the expansion of the cactus farm, and then other projects which I'm going to get into in a bit more detail in the next episode, is the witch farm perimeter, which I'm starting to build. So there's going to be quite a few things that are going to be like long-term grindy projects, especially when I start doing things such as the guardian farm. It's also going to be like a really big like long-term project. So I think more things are going to be segmented into live streams and less on episodes. So if you're not already following on Twitch, make sure you do. Otherwise you can catch up whatever episodes I do end up releasing. Maybe I plan on doing it once every 10 days, every 2 weeks instead of the every week episode kind of thing. But you know how it goes. Again, if you want to watch, join the Twitch streams instead. But anyway guys, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up today's episode. Me and Witchcat here have a lot of work to do on our little witch farm perimeter. So we're going to get to work, we're going to start bombing things out, clearing up some of the water. A lot of the progress we're going to run through on the next episode. So if you did enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe. Again, follow on Twitch, links in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!